Hello friends, it's Lisa and welcome to my bullet journal setup for the month of March. I'm not gonna lie, when setting up my bullet journal this month, I had to rethink about what month I was actually writing out when I wrote out March because it just didn't seem right. It doesn't seem like we're already in March. I don't understand how this happens every single year. But for my theme this month in my bullet journal, I decided to go with a koi fish theme. This is something that I've been thinking about doing for a while. I wanted to originally do this back in July of last year when Speak Now Taylor's version was coming out, because during the Speak Now era originally, Taylor had this koi fish guitar that she would use on the tour and everything, so it kind of was a symbol of that era, but then I ended up not doing that. So it's been a theme that's been in the back of my mind since then, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do this month, so it just seemed like the perfect time to take advantage of this theme. So for this title page, I'm drawing two koi fish swimming in a circle surrounding the March title in the center of the page, and I also draw some little bubbles surrounding the fish just to add a cute little detail and also kind of to help fill in some of that empty space on the page. But also for the koi fish themselves, I know that koi fish can be a few different colors or like variations of different colors, so I really just wanted to keep it simple, and so I'm just drawing koi fish that are white and orange and also white, orange, and black, kind of adding some variety but also making it so that I'm not using a bunch of different colors, just keeping it very simple. I think I used 4 different Tombow markers for this theme, so that was nice, keeping it a little simple and not doing so many colors. And I just kind of drew the blobs of color on the koi fish kind of randomly, and I don't know, I think it's very simple. It wasn't that complicated to draw. I kind of drew a very simplified version of a koi fish and kind of went with that because, again, this year I really want to focus on more simple themes that don't take me a very long time to set up. I think it took me less than an hour to set up all of the pages in my bullet journal this month, which I feel like is unheard of. I feel like it at least almost always takes me like an hour and a half. Like, that's the bare minimum. So I've been really appreciating myself for keeping things simple, and I'm gonna hope that I can keep that up throughout the rest of the year. But I also just like the combination of the orange colors and the teal colors I decided to use for some of the other details and the writing and stuff. I think they just pair really nicely together. But as you can see, we have moved on to the next page, which is my calendar spread. So of course, just actually making the calendar for the month, going in and writing all the numbers and the days of the week and everything. And then I also have that notes section over to the right hand side just to keep track of any important dates or any notes or anything just happening generally in the month. I also, of course, draw some koi fish on the page to bring the theme into my calendar spread. So I have the koi fish up in the corners, kind of swimming again in that circle, replicating a similar look to the title page. And then again, just going in, coloring them in with some orange and black markers. I will have the specific Tombow markers that I used for this theme in the description, as well as any other like supplies that I use in case you are curious. And then kind of as a finishing touch to the spread, I add some more bubbles as well. I kind of do that just to fill in some empty space throughout all of these spreads. But while I finish up this calendar spread, I thought we could chat about what I'm kind of looking forward to in the month of March. I know for one thing, I have a lot of family and friends' birthdays in the month of March. March is just a very popular month for people that I know that have birthdays. And speaking of birthdays, one of my friends, she has a birthday in March, and she's throwing a Hunger Games themed birthday party, which is going to be so much fun. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to show up dressed up as a character, so if you have any ideas of how I can dress up as certain characters, let me know. I'm leaning towards dressing up as Finnick because I just love him, but let me know any of your ideas because I really need to start like planning that out. And then we also have Easter happening this month, which feels really early, so it's going to be kind of weird that that's not happening in April, but we do have Easter. And honestly, other than that, I don't think I have very many plans for March, which I feel like every bullet journal setup, I'm like, let's chat about my plans and what I'm looking forward to, and then I'm like, I have no plans. But obviously things will come up throughout the month and we'll just see what ends up happening. But would love to know if you have any fun and exciting things going on in the month of March, anything you're looking forward to. I'd love to hear it down below in the comments. And now we're moving on to my next couple of spreads. So over on the left hand side is going to be my habit tracker spread. So I have 6 different habits that I'm going to be tracking this month. So I create 6 little calendars to represent the month of March, and I will just fill in whenever I do that habit. And I feel like this year so far I've been kind of consistent with with the 6 habits I've been tracking. I will switch up what habits I track. I've definitely switched it up over the years, what I find helpful to keep track of. And I feel like this year, the things that I have been tracking have been really helpful. So I've been tracking when I read, when I do my skincare, when I wash my hair, when I floss, when I spend zero money because I really need to motivate myself to not spend silly, goofy money, and also when I drink enough water. These are all just habits that I find very helpful to keep track of or important for me to remember when I'm doing these things, and also to like hold me accountable to do some of these things, like floss. It's very important to floss, people, and I'm very bad at keeping up with it. So having a little habit tracker kind of shames me into flossing. But yes, once I have the 6 calendars for the 6 habits I'm going to track, I of course draw some koi fish as well to bring the theme into the page, draw some bubbles, write habit tracker up at the top, but that's pretty much it for the habit tracker spread. I also think when I fill in the habit trackers, I'm going to use the orange marker just to bring the orange color a little bit more into this particular spread. But while I finish up my habit tracker spread, I am going to jump ahead to discussing the next page that I'm going to be setting up, which is my playlist spread. So this is where I will keep track of all of the music that I add to my current Spotify playlist in the month of March. I find this just such a fun way of keeping track of what music came into my life and when it did. And I mean, I have like so many Spotify playlists and I also keep track of it on there, but I don't know, this is just like a fun physical way of keeping track of it, especially like what if Spotify randomly disappears someday? I will have a actual physical way of keeping track of all the songs that I was listening to. But I always like to take this time in my bullet journal setups as an opportunity to talk about the music I was loving in the previous month. So what my February playlist page is going to be looking like. So first of all, I have to talk about Chappell Roan. I feel like this artist, she's kind of taken over my life in February. I've been listening to her album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, basically on repeat all month. I'm kind of obsessed with it. I started listening to her because she's opening up for Olivia Rodrigo for the Guts tour, and she's going to be the opener when I see Olivia. And so I wanted to listen to her music, give her a chance so that maybe I would be able to know some of the songs when I see her open for Olivia. And I'm just genuinely obsessed with this album and her music. It's so fun and unserious and silly goofy, and I just have such a fun time listening to this album. There are some more ballad and emotional songs, but honestly, it's such like pop perfection. It's so much fun, and I feel like her as an opener for Olivia makes so much sense, and it's just gonna be such a fun night. But other than that, some other songs I was listening to, we have Deeper Well by Casey Musgraves, Older by Lizzie McAlpine, Too Much by Girl in Red, and also Someone to Call Mine by Chloe Ament. And that song particularly I need you all to be aware of because it's inspired by Annabeth and Percy from Percy Jackson. So any Percy Jackson fans, I recommend listening to that. So definitely let me know any music you were listening to in the month of February, any new faves that you've been listening to, because I always am looking for new music recommendations. But now we're moving on to my final spread for my March bullet journal setup, which is going to be the first couple of weekly spreads. So for my weekly spreads, I know some people just dedicate 2 pages to a whole week. I find I don't really need that much space in my bullet journal to write down everything going on in a week. Maybe I need to make more plans. As we've discussed earlier, I don't really have a lot going on in my life, so perhaps I just need to be more social, make more plans. But anyway, I have my first week of the month over on the left-hand side, and then the second week of the month over on the right-hand side. And for the actual layout for my weekly spreads, I'm doing this scattered about sort of look. I just kind of write the days of the week kind of randomly on the page, but making sure that I have plenty of space underneath of that to write out anything going on that day. I feel like this is the type of layout that looks best when you add in pictures and stickers and washi tape. So I may need to go in and draw some more koi fish, add some washi tape that match the theme or something just to fill in some of that empty space. But I do draw a little koi fish in the corner to bring the theme into my weekly spreads, but keeping it still relatively simple so that I have the space to write down what I need throughout the week. But those were the final spreads, so that is going to be it for my March bullet journal setup. Here's a flip through of how all of the spreads turned out. I would definitely love to know your thoughts on this theme, if you've done a koi fish theme before, or if you're going to do one now, or what you decided to do in your bullet journal theme for the month of March. I'd love to chat about that below in the comments, but that is going to be it for my March bullet journal setup. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.